So, hi all, this is Miss S. Pavitranshi, Assistant Professor, Department of Management Studies, SNS College of Technology. So, I'm here to present a video lecture series on the strategic working capital management. So, the first thing is about we'll see the first video is about the meaning of working capital. So let's see what is working capital. Yes, so it is actually the firm's holding of current short term and long terms, the current or the short term assets such as the cash, receivables, inventory, marketable securities, and the circulating capital. So, whereas working capital can be defined as this very simple, it is firms' holdings of the current assets or the short-term assets. Yes. So, for example, we know there are different two types of assets. So, one is the long-term assets and the other one is the short-term assets. So, long-term assets can be told as the fixed assets and the short-term assets can be said as current assets. So whenever how much ever the firm's holding we have with respect to the current assets is called as the working capital. So the working capital can also be called as the net working capital, that is NWC, which is net working capital. So working capital means it is actually the difference between the assets and liabilities with respect to the current. So current assets minus current liabilities will give you the working capital. The next thing is like the net working capital can also be in a positive way or it can be in a negative way. So whenever the net working capital is said to be positive, that means CALC, that is current assets, is greater than current liabilities. Okay. Another thing, when the net working capital is said to be negative, it is net working capital is equal to like current assets will be lesser than current liabilities. So this is what the actual format for the working capital. Yes. So can we tell it is a clear difference between the current assets and the current liabilities can be said as the working capital, and it can be in a positive way or it can be in a negative way. So this is what the meaning of working capital. The next is we'll see what is mean by current assets. So current assets are all the assets of a company that are expected to be sold and used as a result of standard business operations over the next year. So only for a period of a year will be uh, calculated as the current assets. So current assets, whichever the company is expected to be sold, or it can be used for a year, only for a year, that is said to be current assets. So current assets includes the cash, so which can be easily converted into cash, can also be called as the current assets. So cash equivalents, accounts receivable, stock inventory, marketable securities, prepaid liabilities, and other liquid assets. So liquid assets meant what? So with the assets which can be easily converted into cash. So current assets are very important to business because they can be used to fund day-to-day business operations and pay for the ongoing operating expenses. So whenever we frame the current assets, okay, so we usually tell like current assets is like the proper way or the day-to-day expenses we can do it for the operation expenses. So that is what current assets. The next is current liabilities. So current liabilities are the company's short-term financial obligations that are due within 1 year or within a normal operating cycle. So current asset liabilities are typically settled using the current assets, which are the assets that are used up within 1 year. So example of current liabilities is like accounts payable, short-term debts, dividends, and notes payable, as well as income tax owed. So these are the things which includes the current liabilities. So whenever the current difference between current assets and the current liabilities, we can say it as the exact way. We can tell it as the working capital. So now it is clear what is current assets and what do you mean by current liabilities, I hope. Yes. So this is the different transformation which can be done for the strategic net working capital management paper. So it is a very important and very interesting paper where we learn about all the working management Okay, so it is all based upon the working capital management. Yes, so thank you. We'll see you in the next video about the next topic.